I was on a work video call when my doorbell camera showed my wife kissing our neighbor. I stayed calm, finished my meeting, and then drove home to catch them. Tuesday morning, 10:45 a.m., I was on a video call with our biggest client, presenting quarterly analytics, when my phone buzzed on the desk beside me. I glanced down. Just a doorbell camera notification, probably a delivery. I ignored it and kept presenting. 30 seconds later, my brain processed what the preview image had actually shown, and my entire world stopped. My wife Rachel kissing our neighbor Tom on our front porch at 10:47 in the morning when she told me she was showing properties across. Hey everyone, this is the story of how I discovered my wife's affair in real time through a doorbell camera while I was on a work call, and how I maintained professional composure for 23 of the longest minutes of my life before driving home to catch them together. I'm Mike, 34 years old, and what I'm about to tell you will make you grateful for home security technology and question whether you actually know your spouse's daily routine. You know that moment when something catastrophic happens, but you can't react because you're in a professional situation. When your personal life is imploding, but you have to smile and nod and speak coherently about marketing metrics? That's where this story goes. But let me start from the beginning, because to understand how completely blindsided I was by what I saw on that doorbell camera, you need to understand what my marriage looked like and how I'd missed every single warning sign. I met Rachel 7 years ago when I was 27 and she was 25. I was working as a software engineer at a tech startup, making about $85,000 a year. Rachel was working in real estate, just getting her license, making modest commissions but passionate about the work. We met through a mutual friend at a housewarming party, bonded over our shared love of hiking and terrible action movies, and started dating within 2 weeks. Rachel was energetic, ambitious, social. She had this natural charisma that made everyone like her instantly. She could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with 5 new friends. I was more introverted, analytical, comfortable with small groups rather than crowds. She brought out a more social side of me. I grounded her when she got too scattered. It felt like a good balance. We dated for 3 years. During that time, I got promoted twice. First to senior engineer at $95,000, then to engineering manager at $115,000. Rachel built her real estate career steadily, going from maybe $40,000 her first year to around $65,000 by year 3. We were both doing well professionally, building toward a future together. At 4 years of dating, I proposed. Simple proposal during a weekend hiking trip to Sedona. Nothing fancy, just us and the red rocks, and a ring I'd saved 3 months to buy. She said yes immediately, posted photos. Within minutes, started planning a wedding that same week. We got married when I was 30 and Rachel was 28. Nice wedding, about 100 guests. Nothing extravagant, but beautiful and meaningful. Rachel's real estate connections got us deals on the venue and catering. My tech salary paid for most of it. We honeymooned in Costa Rica, came home happy and optimistic about our future. The first 2 years of marriage were good. We bought a house in a nice suburban neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, good schools nearby, friendly neighbors. I was working remotely 2 days a week by then, which was perfect for managing household stuff. Rachel's real estate career was growing. She'd had a particularly good year and made about $78,000. Combined, we were comfortable financially. Our neighbor situation was ideal. Quiet street, families with young kids, everyone friendly but respectful of boundary. 3 doors down lived Tom, divorced guy, probably mid-30s, worked as a personal trainer. He seemed nice enough. Waved when we saw him, occasionally chatted about yard maintenance or neighborhood stuff. Nothing more than typical neighbor interactions. At 3 years of marriage, Rachel got pregnant. We were both excited. I was making $125,000 by then as a senior engineering manager. Rachel was still doing well in real estate, around $70,000, $75,000, depending on the market. We were financially stable, emotionally ready, genuinely thrilled to start a family. Our son Tyler was born when I was 32 and Rachel was 30. Healthy, happy, everything we'd hoped for. Rachel took 3 months maternity leave, then went back to work part-time, maybe 15 hours a week, focusing on existing clients rather than chasing new listings. I continued working remotely 2 days a week, which helped with childcare logistics. That first year with Tyler was exhausting but wonderful. Sleep-deprived and stressed, sure, but we were doing it together. Rachel was a great mom, attentive, nurturing, completely devoted to Tyler. I handled night waking since I could work from home and nap when needed. We had a system that worked. When Tyler turned 2, Rachel wanted to ramp up her real estate work again. I need professional fulfillment beyond just being a mom, she explained. I love Tyler, but I also love my career. I want to get back into it more seriously. That makes total sense. What's your plan? Full-time hours again. Tyler can go to preschool starting at 3. Until then, we can do daycare a few days a week so I can show properties. We enrolled Tyler in daycare 2 days a week. Rachel increased her client load. By Tyler's 3rd birthday, she was back to full-time real estate work, and Tyler was in preschool 5 half-days per week, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday. That's when Tom started becoming more present in our lives. It began innocuously enough. Tom was outside doing yard work one Saturday when Rachel and I were struggling to move a heavy planter. He came over to help. "Happy to help neighbors," he said, smiling. He was friendly, muscular from his personal training work, charismatic in that easygoing way some people have. "Thanks, man. Appreciate it," I told him. "Anytime. I'm 3 doors down if you ever need anything." A few weeks later, Rachel mentioned Tom had helped her carry groceries when she'd come home and I was at the office. "That was nice of him," I said, thinking nothing of it, and Tom started joining us for weekend activities. Rachel would mention she'd invited him to our backyard barbecue. He's alone every weekend. Divorced? No kids nearby? I felt bad. "Is that okay?" "Of course. That's thoughtful of you." Tom came to the barbecue. He was charming, funny, fit in well with our friend group. When people left, he stayed to help clean up. "You guys don't have to do that," I said, but he insisted, and Rachel seemed to appreciate the help. This pattern continued. Tom would be at our house for weekend gatherings, would help Rachel with yard work when I was traveling for work, would offer to watch Tyler occasionally when we needed a sitter and our usual babysitter was busy. Tom said he could watch Tyler Saturday night if we want a date night, Rachel mentioned one evening. "That's generous, but he's not really someone we know well enough for childcare, is he? He's our neighbor. He's been incredibly helpful. Tyler likes him. I think it's fine." We didn't use Tom as a babysitter, but his presence in our lives kept expanding. He was at our house at least once a week. Always helpful, always friendly, always finding reasons to stop by. 6 months ago, I started noticing changes in Rachel. Subtle things, easily dismissed individually, but adding up to a pattern. She started going to the gym more frequently. She'd always worked out occasionally, but suddenly it was 5 times a week. "I want to get back in shape after having Tyler," she explained. "Feel good about myself again. You look great, but if working out makes you feel better, that's awesome." She started dressing different. More fitted clothes, more makeup even for casual errands, more attention to her appearance in general. When I'd compliment her, she'd seem pleased but distracted. She was on her phone constantly, texting, scrolling, always engaged with her screen even when we were supposedly spending time together. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd say clients, or just catching up with friends. She became less interested in physical intimacy. Our sex life had never fully recovered after Tyler's birth, which I understood. Parenthood is exhausting, but it went from occasional to almost never. When I'd initiate, she'd usually decline, "Too tired," or "Not tonight," or "Can we just cuddle instead?" 4 months ago, Rachel started having more property showings during Tyler's preschool hour. She'd drop Tyler at school at 8 a.m., be gone until pickup at 1 p.m., and when I'd ask how showings went, she'd be vague. Fine. Lots of tire kickers. No serious buyers yet." I'd notice her car in our driveway occasionally during those hours. She'd be home for lunch, she said, though I was usually working from the office those days, so I didn't see her. 3 months ago, I installed a video doorbell. Partially for security, we'd had some package thefts in the neighborhood, but also because I worked from home 2 days a week and wanted to see deliveries without getting up from my desk. The doorbell had a camera that activated on motion, sent notifications to my phone, stored footage in the cloud for 30 days. I showed Rachel how it worked. "Great, now we can catch those package thieves," she said. I didn't tell her that it also timestamped every activation and kept a log of everyone who approached our door. 2 months ago, I started noticing Tom's car parked on our street more often during weekday mornings. Not at his house 3 doors down, closer to ours. I'd see it when I went out for coffee or to walk around the neighborhood during work breaks. "Do you know why Tom's car is on our street so much during weekdays?" I asked Rachel casually. "Is it? I haven't noticed. Maybe he has clients in the neighborhood. He does in-home personal training sometimes." That made sense. I didn't push it. 6 weeks ago, Rachel started getting texts late at night that she'd read immediately and smile at. When I'd ask what's funny, she'd say, "Just a friend sending memes," or "Client thanking me for something." But she'd angle her phone away so I couldn't see. That felt off. 1 month ago, I tried to reconnect with Rachel, planned a date night, got a real babysitter, took her to a nice restaurant, tried to talk about how I felt we'd been distant. I feel like we're not as connected as we used to be, like we're roommates managing Tyler more than partners in a marriage. That's what happens when you have kids, Mike. Romance takes a back seat to practical parenting. That's normal. I know, but I miss you. Miss us. Can we try to prioritize our relationship more? Sure, we can try. but nothing changed. She remained distant, distracted, engaged with her phone more than with me. 2 weeks ago, our friend Jessica mentioned seeing Rachel at a coffee shop downtown. I waved, but she didn't see me. She was with someone, looked deep in conversation. Probably a client. Yeah, probably. They just seemed really close, like leaning in, laughing, very comfortable with each other. A small alarm went off in my mind, but I dismissed it. Rachel was social. She was friendly with clients. This didn't mean anything. 1 week ago, I came home from the office unexpectedly early. Rachel's car was in the driveway. So was Tom's car, parked on our street near our house. I walked in. The house was quiet. "Rachel, you home?" She appeared from the kitchen, slightly flustered. "Oh, you're home early. I thought you were at the office all day. Finished early. Why is Tom's car outside? Is it? I don't know. Maybe he's visiting another neighbor." But she seemed nervous. Off. Tom didn't emerge from anywhere in the house, so I assumed he really was visiting someone else. But the timing felt strange. That brings us to yesterday, Monday. Rachel's schedule had Tyler at preschool 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. She told me that morning she had property showings from 9 a.m. to noon across town, a development with multiple interested buyers. "Busy morning," I said. "Yeah, hopefully I make some sales. We could use the commission." I worked from home that Monday, had a packed schedule. Team meetings, client calls, code reviews. Rachel left with Tyler at 7:45 a.m. to drop him at school. I settled into my home office, started working. Around 10 a.m. I had a check-in call with my team. Routine stuff, lasted 30 minutes. Then I had an hour to work independently before my 11:30 a.m. client presentation. The big one, the most important call of the week. Our largest client, quarterly review. My boss was on the call, everything riding on me presenting our analytics clearly and professionally. I spent that hour preparing, reviewing slides, practicing my talking points. By 11:25 a.m., I was ready. Logged into the video call, adjusted my camera, tested my microphone. The call started at 11:30 a.m. exactly. 12 people on the call. The client's team, my boss, my colleagues, me presenting. My camera was on. I was visible to every professional setting, high stakes, no room for distraction. I began presenting at 11:35 a.m., walking through quarterly metrics, engagement analytics, ROI calculations, everything going smoothly. I was in the zone, confident, articulate. At 11:47 a.m., I remember the exact time because I checked later. My phone buzzed on the desk beside my keyboard. Just a quick vibration, a notification. I glanced at it while continuing to talk about conversion rates. Just the preview screen visible. Ring doorbell. Motion detected at your front door. Below that, a thumbnail image. I could see enough in that tiny preview to make my heart stop. 2 people on my front porch, very close together. I kept talking, kept presenting, but my brain was screaming at me to look at that notification, to open it, to see what my eyes thought they'd seen in that fraction of a second. Which brings our quarterly conversion rate to 14.7%, up from 11.2% last quarter. I was on autopilot now, reading slides I'd memorized, my voice somehow steady while my hands started shaking. I couldn't look at my phone. I was on camera. 12 people were watching me present. My boss was evaluating my performance. I had to finish this presentation, but I could see the notification still glowing on my phone screen. I could see that thumbnail image, and my brain was connecting dots I didn't want it to connect. 2 people on my front porch at 10:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, when Rachel said she was showing properties across town, when Tyler was at preschool, when I was safely at home, visible on a video call, unable to react. "Mike, can you speak to the demographic breakdown of those conversions?" My boss's voice pulled me back. I fumbled for a second, found my place in the slides. "Absolutely. If you look at slide 12, I clicked to the next slide with a trembling hand, kept talking, kept smiling at the camera, kept acting like I was a professional presenting to a client and not someone whose work was potentially collapsing." Another notification buzzed. Same source. Ring doorbell. I didn't look, couldn't look, had to keep presenting. At 11:52 a.m., 5 minutes after that first notification, I finished the analytics portion of my presentation. "I'll now turn it over to Sarah for the marketing campaign overview," I said, my voice still somehow steady. My camera was still on, but I wasn't presenting anymore. Sarah took over. I should have been listening, should have been engaged, should have been ready to answer follow-up questions. Instead, I picked up my phone with hands I had to consciously stop from shaking, opened the Ring app, looked at the notifications. 2 motion detection events. 10:47 a.m. and 10:51 a.m. I opened the first one. The video started playing. Silent, thankfully, since I had my phone muted. The footage showed my front porch, empty at first. Then 2 people walked into frame from the left, from the direction of the street. Rachel, my wife, in yoga pants and a fitted top I'd never seen before. and Tom, our neighbor, in gym clothes, athletic build, obvious. They were laughing about something. I watched Rachel turn to face Tom, watched him say something I couldn't hear, watched Rachel smile up at him in a way that made my stomach drop, then watched Tom lean in, watched Rachel not pull away, watched them kiss on my front porch, at my door, in broad daylight. Not a quick kiss, not an accidental brush of lips, a real kiss, passionate, familiar, the kind of kiss that comes from practice, from comfort, from intimacy. The kiss lasted maybe 10 seconds, then they pulled apart, laughing again. Rachel pulled out her keys, her house keys, to my house, our house, and unlocked the front door. They went inside. The video ended. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at the screen. Someone on the call was talking. Sarah, maybe, or the client. I couldn't process words. White noise. My ears were ringing. I opened the second notification. 10:51 a.m., 4 minutes after the first. This footage showed my front door from the inside camera perspective. I'd installed a second camera in the foyer to catch delivery people. The angle showed the front door and part of the living room. Rachel and Tom entered, still laughing. Tom's hand was on Rachel's lower back. Rachel reached up, touched his face, kissed him again, longer this time, his hands in her hair, her body pressed against his. They broke apart, said something to each other. I couldn't hear with the video muted. Then Tom gestured, toward the hallway, toward the bedroom wing of the house. Rachel took his hand. They walked out of frame, heading toward my bedroom. The video ended. I was still on the call, still visible on camera, still supposedly engaged in this client presentation, and I'd just watched video evidence of my wife bringing our neighbor into our house to fuck him in our bed. Mike, do you have thoughts on that approach? Someone was asking me a question. I had no idea what they'd asked. Sorry, could you repeat the question? I was reviewing some data. They repeated it. Something about marketing channels. I gave an answer that sounded coherent. I honestly don't remember what I said. I checked the time, 11:56 a.m. The call had started at 11:30. We typically ran an hour. That meant 14 more minutes. 14 minutes of sitting here, professional and composed, while my wife was in my bedroom with another man. I couldn't leave, couldn't turn off my camera and walk away, couldn't have a breakdown, couldn't do anything but sit there and finish this call with my face visible to 12 people who had no idea my marriage was ending in real time. So that's what I did. I sat there, nodded when appropriate, answered questions when asked, smiled like a professional, all while periodically checking the Ring app to see if any new notifications appeared. None did. They were still in my house, still in my bedroom, presumably, still together while I sat 15 minutes away in my home office, trapped on a video call, unable to read. At 12:03 p.m., the client wrapped up their questions. My boss thanked everyone. Standard closing pleasantries. I smiled, waved, said, "Thanks everyone. Talk soon." The call ended at 12:05 p.m. The second my camera turned off, I opened the Ring again, checked all cameras. Nothing. No new motion at the front door. No one had left. They were still in my house. I looked at the time. Tyler's preschool pickup was at 1 p.m. Rachel would need to leave by 12:45 p.m. to get there on time. That meant she had 40 minutes before she needed to leave. 40 minutes with Tom in our house. My house. Where I was sitting. Where I could walk down the hallway and confront them right now. But I didn't. I sat there, thinking with a clarity that surprised me given the circumstances. If I confronted them now, it would be my word against theirs. Rachel would deny it, minimize it, make excuses. Tom would leave. It would be messy and emotional, and I'd have no leverage beyond one doorbell video. But if I stayed calm, if I documented everything, if I gathered evidence and built a case before confronting them, then I'd have power, control, the ability to dictate terms rather than react emotionally. I opened my laptop, downloaded both Ring videos to my hard drive, uploaded them to 3 different cloud storage accounts, emailed them to myself at a personal email address Rachel didn't have access to, saved them to 2 USB drives I kept in my desk. The videos were preserved, time-stamped, undeniable. Then I started documenting everything I could remember, every warning sign from the past 6 months, every lie Rachel had told about her schedule, every time Tom had been at our house when I wasn't home. I created a timeline in a password-protected document. At 12:23 p.m., my Ring doorbell activated again. I pulled up the live feed. Tom, leaving through the front door, adjusting his shirt, hair slightly messy, looking satisfied. He walked down the porch steps, looked back at the door, smiled at something or someone I couldn't see, then walked toward the street, toward his car parked 2 houses down. 3 minutes later, Rachel's car backed out of our driveway. She was leaving to pick up Tyler, precisely on time, like nothing had happened. I sat in my office, watching through the doorbell camera as my wife drove away to get our son, 23 minutes after our neighbor had left our house following what was clearly not their first time together. I felt remarkably calm, cold, maybe, detached, like I was watching all of this happen to someone else. I picked up my phone, texted Rachel, "How are showings going?" She responded 5 minutes later, "Good, might have a serious buyer. Heading to get Tyler now." Another lie. Casual, easy, like she'd told them 1,000 times before. I responded, "That's great, honey. See you soon." Then I opened Google Maps. My house to my office was 14 minutes. If I left right now, I could be home by 12:45 p.m., before Rachel returned with Tyler at 1:15 p.m. But what was the point? They were gone now. The immediate confrontation opportunity had passed. Unless I checked the Ring app history, looked at motion detection logs from the past month, started scrolling through dates and times. Pattern after pattern emerged. Tom's arrival at my house, usually between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on days Rachel said she had property showings. Duration of visits typically 60 to 90 minutes. Rachel's car in the driveway during times she claimed to be across town. This had been happening for months, multiple times per week, in my house, in my bed, presumably, while Tyler was at preschool and I was either at the office or working from home, oblivious. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, time-stamped and video recorded. I had everything I needed. Now I just needed a plan. I looked at the time, 12:38 p.m. Rachel would be home with Tyler in 40 minutes. I needed to act normal when they arrived. Needed to pretend I'd spent the last hour working productively instead of discovering my wife's affair and downloading evidence. But first, I needed to make one call. I pulled up my contacts, found the name I was looking for. David Chen, divorce attorney. He'd handled my colleague's divorce 2 years ago. I'd heard he was excellent, aggressive but fair, exactly what I needed. I called, got his receptionist. I need an emergency consultation, today if possible. I have video, evidence of my wife's affair, and I need legal advice before confronting her. Mr. Chen can see you at 4 p.m. today. Does that work? Perfect. I'll be there. I hung up, looked around my home office. Everything looked normal. Same desk, same computer, same view out the window. But everything had changed. My marriage was over. My wife had betrayed me with our neighbor in our home while our son was at school, and I had 40 minutes to compose myself before acting like nothing was wrong. So that's what I did. I washed my face, changed my shirt, made myself coffee, sat down at my desk and opened work files, pretending to be productive. At 1:17 p.m., I heard the garage door open. Rachel and Tyler were home. I walked out to greet them, smile on my face, kiss for my son, normal greeting for my wife, who had no idea that I knew everything. "Hey, buddy. How was school?" I scooped Tyler up. "We painted. I made a dinosaur." "That's awesome. Can I see it?" Rachel smiled at both of us. Loving mother, devoted wife. No sign of guilt or concern. Just another Tuesday afternoon in our normal, happy family life. Except nothing was normal. Nothing was happy. And this family life was about to end. But she didn't know that yet. And I wasn't going to tell her until I was ready. I had an attorney appointment in 3 hours. I had evidence saved in 5 different locations. I had a plan forming. Rachel thought she could manage this double life, devoted wife and mother, while sleeping with our neighbor during preschool hours. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. I spent the next 2 hours acting completely normal, playing with Tyler in the backyard, helping Rachel prepare dinner, smiling and laughing like my world hadn't just collapsed during a client video call. The whole time, my phone sat in my pocket with video evidence of my wife's betrayal and an attorney appointment scheduled for 4 p.m. At 3:30 p.m., I told Rachel I needed to run to the office. Forgot some files I need for tomorrow's meeting. Be back in an hour or so. "Okay, dinner will be ready around 6, she said, kissing my cheek. The casual affection felt obscene. This woman had been in our bed with another man 3 hours ago, and now she was kissing me goodbye like a normal wife. I drove to David Chen's office in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of my own breathing and my mind replaying that doorbell footage on an endless loop. Chen's office was in a professional building downtown. Sleek, modern, the kind of place that suggested success and competence. His receptionist led me to a conference room where Chen was waiting. Mid-40s, sharp suit, calculating eyes that had probably seen every variation of marital disaster. "Mr. Harrison, you mentioned video evidence of an affair?" I pulled out my phone, opened the Ring app, and showed him both videos. The kiss on the front porch. Rachel and Tom entering together. Tom leaving an hour late. Rachel's text lie about property showings. Chen watched without expression, then asked to see the videos again. Took notes. Asked questions. "How long have you suspected?" I didn't suspect anything concrete until today, but looking back, there have been signs for months. Distance, secretiveness, schedule inconsistencies, and you haven't confronted her yet? No. I found out while on a work video call. Couldn't react then. Haven't had the opportunity since without making it obvious I know. Good. That gives us time to strategize. Chen pulled up a notepad on his laptop. Tell me about your marriage. Assets, income, children, everything relevant. I spent 30 minutes walking him through our situation. 6 years married, 7 years together total. Tyler, age 4. Our house, bought 4 years ago, currently worth about $425,000. Mortgage balance around $280,000, so roughly $145,000 in equity. My income, $125,000 annually. Rachel's income, variable, but averaging $70,000 to $75,000 in real estate commissions. Joint bank accounts, joint credit cards, typical married finances. Chen took detailed notes, asked clarifying questions, nodded occasionally. Here's what I recommend, he finally said. First, we document everything. Every instance you can prove or reasonably establish when she was with him instead of where she claimed to be. Every lie she told. Every time he was at your house. Build a timeline that's undeniable. I already started that. Good. Second, we secure your finances. Not hiding assets. That's illegal and looks bad in court, but making sure you understand exactly what exists and where. Third, we prepare divorce papers and custody filings that position you for primary custody of Tyler. Will infidelity help with custody? Arizona is a no-fault divorce state, so her affair doesn't directly impact asset division, but it absolutely matters for custody if we can show she was neglecting parental responsibilities to conduct the affair. Was she? I thought about it. She was having Tom over during Tyler's preschool. Technically, Tyler wasn't there, but she was lying about her whereabouts, being unavailable if the school called, prioritizing the affair over being accessible as a parent. That's useful. Not damning, but useful. What would really help is demonstrating that you're the more stable, present parent. Tell me about your involvement with Tyler. I described my routine. Working from home 2 days a week, which meant I did morning drop-offs those days. Was home if Tyler got sick. Handled afternoon pickup if Rachel had client appointments. On office days, I left early enough to do bedtime routine most nights. Weekends, I was the primary parent while Rachel worked open houses or met with clients. So you're already functionally co-parenting at minimum, possibly primary parenting. I'd say it's genuinely 50-50. But yes, I'm very involved. That gives us strong positioning for primary custody, especially combined with her dishonesty and affair. Courts care about stability and honesty. You represent both. She represents neither. Chen outlined the strategy. I'd continue acting normal for 1 week while we gathered evidence and prepared documents. During that week, I'd document every interaction, save every text message, note every schedule inconsistency. Chen would draft divorce papers and custody filing. At the end of the week, we'd confront Rachel with evidence and serve her simultaneously. Why wait a week? I asked. Because right now, you have evidence of one encounter. If you wait and document, we might establish a pattern. More importantly, it gives you time to secure finances, copy important documents, and prepare yourself emotionally. Confrontation in the heat of discovery often goes badly. Confrontation after strategic preparation goes much better. It made sense. But the idea of living with Rachel for another week, pretending everything was fine, made me feel sick. I know it's hard, Chen said, reading my expression, but you're protecting your interests and Tyler's interests. That's worth one uncomfortable week. I agreed. Paid Chen's retainer, $5,000, charged to my personal credit card that Rachel didn't monitor. Scheduled a follow-up appointment for the next week. Then I drove home to have dinner with my wife and son, carrying the weight of knowledge that would destroy our family but not yet able to act on it. That week was the longest of my life. Every interaction with Rachel felt like a performance. Every casual touch, every mundane conversation, every bedtime routine with Tyler while Rachel smiled at us. All of it felt surreal and painful and wrong. But I documented everything. I checked the Ring camera logs systematically. Found 14 instances in the past 2 months where Tom had been at our house during hours Rachel claimed to be working. I saved every text message she sent me during those times claiming to be at property showings or client meetings. I opened a new bank account at a different bank. Transferred enough money from our joint savings to cover immediate divorce expenses and first month's rent if I needed to move out. Not draining the account, just protecting what I'd need. I copied every important document we had. Mortgage papers, tax returns, Tyler's birth certificate and medical records, my employment contracts, Rachel's real estate license information. Everything that might be relevant, I scanned and saved to encrypted cloud storage. And I started casually gathering evidence of my parenting involvement. I took photos with Tyler during our morning routines. I saved emails from Tyler's preschool that were addressed to me. I documented bedtime routines in a journal Chen suggested I keep. Rachel noticed nothing. She continued her normal routine. Preschool drop-off, work, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., pickup, afternoon parenting, evening family time. She was cheerful, affectionate even, completely unaware that I was building a case against her. On Thursday of that week, 5 days after I discovered the affair, Rachel announced at dinner that she had an evening client meeting and would be out from 7 to 9 p.m. On a Thursday night? I asked casually. High-value client. Only time they could meet. My mom can come watch Tyler if you need to work. No, I've got him. Go ahead. Rachel left at 7 p.m. I waited 15 minutes, then checked the Ring cameras at Tom's house. He'd had a doorbell camera installed 6 months ago, and in our friendly neighborhood way, we'd exchanged app access for when we traveled and needed neighbors to watch our properties. I pulled up Tom's camera feed. At 7:23 p.m., Rachel's car pulled into his driveway. She walked to his door, knocked, was let in immediately. I recorded the timestamp, took screenshots, added it to my evidence file. She returned home at 9:15 p.m., claimed the client meeting went well, kissed Tyler goodnight, went to bed. Another lie, another piece of evidence. By the end of the week, I had an undeniable pattern documented. 22 instances over 8 weeks where Rachel had been with Tom while claiming to be working. Hundreds of text messages containing lies about her whereabouts. Video evidence from multiple cameras showing them together. Chen reviewed everything at our second meeting. This is comprehensive. We have more than enough to establish a fair pattern of dishonesty and questionable parental judgment. Are you ready to confront her? Yes. Divorce papers are prepared. Custody filing is ready. I recommend you confront her tomorrow evening, after Tyler is asleep. Have someone there as a witness, a family member or close friend. Stay calm, present evidence. Serve paper. Then she needs to leave the house immediately. She needs to leave, not me. You're filing. You have evidence of her misconduct in the marital home. You're the more stable parent. Yes, she leaves. We'll establish that you retain residence while custody arrangements are formalized. I called my brother Jake that evening. I need you to come to my house tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Rachel doesn't know, but I'm confronting her about an affair and serving divorce papers. I need a witness. Jake was shocked, angry on my behalf, immediately supportive. I'll be there. Do you need anything else? Just your presence, and maybe be ready to help me not lose my composure. You've got it, brother. Friday evening. I'd taken the day off work. Told Rachel it was for a company retreat. Used the day to move important personal items to a storage unit. Family heirlooms, important documents, my grandfather's watch. Things I didn't want in the house during the confrontation. I packed a bag for Tyler with his favorite toys and clothes. Dropped it at Jake's house in case Tyler needed to stay there overnight. Rachel came home from preschool pickup at 1:30 p.m. with Tyler. We had a normal afternoon. Playground, dinner prep, family, time. I played with Tyler, helped Rachel cook, acted like this was just another Friday. At 7 p.m., we did Tyler's bedtime routine together. Stories, songs, tucking him in, both of us kissing him goodnight. I looked at my son sleeping peacefully and felt rage at Rachel for what she was about to put him through. At 7:45 p.m., Jake arrived. I'd told Rachel he was stopping by to drop off something he'd borrowed. She didn't suspect anything. At 8 p.m., Jake and I sat down with Rachel in the living room. She looked confused, but not concerned. What's going on? Is something wrong? I pulled out my phone, opened the Ring app, and showed her the video from Tuesday. The doorbell footage of her and Tom kissing on our front porch. Her face went white. Mike? Oh, I'm going to show you several more videos now. I want you to watch them and understand that I know everything. I showed her video after video. Tom arriving at our house. Rachel letting him in. Tom leaving an hour later. Multiple dates, multiple times. Undeniable pattern. Rachel was crying now. I can explain. There's nothing to explain. You've been having an affair with our neighbor for months. You've been using Tyler's preschool time to bring Tom into our house, into our bed. You've lied to me hundreds of times about where you were and what you were doing. It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. I still love you. A mistake is once. This is a pattern. This is a choice you made repeatedly, consciously, while lying to my face every day. Jake sat silently, witness to everything being said. Rachel turned to him. Jake, you know me. You know I'm not a bad person. This isn't who I am. Actually, Rachel, Jake said quietly, this is exactly who you are. Mike has 22 documented instances of you lying and cheating. That's not a mistake. That's your character. Rachel sobbed, tried to touch my arm. I pulled away. You need to pack a bag and leave tonight, I said. Jake will supervise while you pack. You can take clothes and personal items. Everything else stays here. You can't kick me out. This is my house too. Actually, I can. I'm filing for divorce, and I have evidence of you conducting an affair in the marital home. My attorney assures me the court will support me retaining residence while we formalize custody arrangements. I pulled out the divorce papers, handed them to her. You've been served. She looked at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. You can't do this. Tyler needs his mother. I need time to fix this. Tyler needs stability and honesty. You've provided neither. I'm filing for primary custody. You can't take my son. I'm not taking him. I'm ensuring he has a stable home with a parent who doesn't lie constantly and conduct affairs while he's at preschool. Rachel collapsed in tears, full breakdown, begging me to reconsider, to go to counseling, to give her another chance. I felt nothing, no sympathy, no second thoughts, just cold determination. You have 30 minutes to pack. Jake will help you carry things to your car. You can stay with your parents or a friend, but you're not staying here tonight. It took 45 minutes. Rachel packed 2 suitcases worth of clothes and personal items, crying the entire time. Jake helped carry them to her car while I stayed with sleeping Tyler. At 9:30 p.m., Rachel was gone. The house was quiet. Jake stayed until 11 p.m., making sure I was okay, helping me process what had just happened. "You did the right thing," he said before leaving. "I know it doesn't feel good, but you protected yourself and Tyler. That's what matters." The next morning, Saturday, Tyler woke up asking where Mommy was. She had to go help Grandma with something. "She'll see you soon." Rachel texted me constantly, apologizing, begging to talk, asking about Tyler. I responded once. "All communication goes through my attorney, David Chen. His contact info is on the divorce papers." She didn't listen, kept texting, calling, showing up at the house. On Sunday morning, she arrived at 8 a.m., tried to come inside. I blocked the door. "You can't keep me from my son." "I'm not, but we communicate through attorneys now. If you want to see Tyler, have your attorney contact mine to establish temporary visitation." She tried to push past me. I held firm, called Chen, who called her on speakerphone. "Mrs. Harrison, if you don't leave Mr. Harrison's property immediately, he will call the police and file a restraining order. Do you understand?" She left, sobbing, broken, but she left. Within a week, her attorney had contacted Chen. We established temporary visitation. Rachel got Tyler every Wednesday evening and every other weekend, supervised by her parents initially to ensure transitions went smoothly. The divorce proceedings were bitter. Rachel fought everything, fought for 50-50 custody, fought for the house, fought for maximum spousal support. Her attorney argued that one affair didn't make her a bad mother, that I was being vindictive, that I'd violated her privacy with the doorbell cameras. Chen demolished every argument. The doorbell cameras were legal and disclosed. The affair wasn't one mistake, but months of deception. The pattern of lies demonstrated poor judgment relevant to custody decisions. 3 months into the divorce, the court ordered a custody evaluation. A social worker interviewed both of us, interviewed Tyler, visited both homes, reviewed evidence. Her report was damning for Rachel. Mother has demonstrated pattern of dishonesty and questionable judgment. Father has been primary caregiver in practice despite both parents working. Child shows stronger attachment to father. Recommend primary custody to father with mother receiving supervised visitation until she completes parenting and therapy requirements. Rachel's attorney tried to appeal. Chen shut it down. 4 months after I'd filed, we had a preliminary custody order. I got primary custody, 70-30 split. Rachel got Tyler every other weekend and 1 evening per week. She had to pay me child support, $800 per month based on our income differential. She was devastated, but the evidence had been overwhelming. The community fallout was swift and brutal. Our suburban neighborhood was tight-knit. Everyone knew everyone. Within days of Rachel moving out, people asked questions. I didn't volunteer information, but I didn't hide it either. When neighbors asked what happened, I said simply, "Rachel was having an affair with Tom. I have video evidence. We're divorced." Tom's reputation collapsed immediately. Other neighbors came forward with stories. He'd hit on multiple married women on the street, had been inappropriate with 2 of them at neighborhood parties. One couple filed a complaint with his training certification board for unprofessional conduct. Within 6 weeks of the confrontation, Tom moved out of the neighborhood. Couldn't handle the social consequences, the destroyed reputation, the looks from neighbors. Rachel tried to maintain friendships with neighborhood women, but most sided with me. They'd seen me as the devoted husband and father. They'd seen Rachel's lies exposed. They couldn't respect or trust her anymore. Her real estate career took a hit, too. Our neighborhood was her primary market. When her reputation for dishonesty spread, clients became scarce. Her income dropped significantly, from $70,000 down to maybe $40,000 that year. 1 year after the divorce, life had stabilized into a new normal. Tyler lived with me full-time during the week, went to Rachel's every other week. He adjusted surprisingly well. At 5 years old, he accepted that Mommy and Daddy lived in different houses and focused on being loved by both of us. I'd sold our house and bought a smaller one nearby. 3 bedrooms, nice yard, walking distance to Tyler's school. Used my half of the equity to make a solid down payment. Kept the mortgage manageable on my single income. Rachel moved into an apartment across town. Saw Tyler regularly but wasn't thriving. She'd lost community respect, professional connections, and the stable family life she'd taken for granted. I started therapy to process everything. The betrayal, the trust issues, the grief of losing what I thought my marriage was. Dr. Stevens helped me understand that I'd done everything right in a terrible situation, protected myself, protected Tyler, maintained dignity while demanding accountability. You didn't let emotion override strategy, she told me in one session. That probably saved you years of contentious custody battles and financial disaster. 18 months after the divorce, I started dating again. Slowly, carefully, with trust issues I openly acknowledged. Met a woman named Sarah at a parent event at Tyler's school. She was a kindergarten teacher, divorced herself, understood the complications of co-parenting. We dated for 6 months before I told her the full story. Her response: "That's devastating. I'm so sorry you went through that, but I also respect how you handled it, strategically, protectively, with your son's best interests as priority. That speaks to your character." 2 years after discovering the affair via doorbell camera, I'm 36. Tyler is 6 and thriving. I have primary custody, a stable home, a fulfilling career, and a healthy relationship with Sarah built on honesty and communication. Rachel is 34, still struggling with the consequences of her choices. Her relationship with Tyler is cordial but distant. He loves her but sees me as his primary parent. Her career never fully recovered. She dated a few people but nothing stuck. Her reputation for infidelity following her. Tom, I heard through the neighborhood grapevine, moved to Nevada and started over. Never apologized, never acknowledged the damage he'd caused. Just disappeared like the coward he'd always been. Sometimes people ask if I regret installing those doorbell cameras. If ignorance might have been better than the pain of knowing. My answer is always the same: no, because those cameras gave me undeniable evidence and protected me legally. Without them, it would have been my suspicions versus Rachel's denials. I'd have confronted based on feelings rather than facts. She'd have gaslit me, made me doubt myself, possibly convinced me I was paranoid. The cameras gave me truth, leverage, and the ability to protect Tyler from a contentious, drawn-out custody battle. That $180 doorbell camera was the best investment I ever made. 5 years after that Tuesday morning video call, Tyler is 9. He barely remembers when his parents were married. His normal is 2 houses, 2 bedrooms, 1 primary home with Dad where he feels most secure. I'm 39, happily engaged to Sarah, with a blended family forming. Rachel remains single, still working in real estate, still seeing Tyler every other weekend, but not deeply connected to his daily life. The doorbell camera footage in my encrypted storage, preserved as evidence but never watched anymore. I don't need to see it. I remember exactly what happened, exactly how it felt to discover my wife's betrayal in real time while maintaining professional composure on a video call. That moment, sitting at my desk, presenting to a client, glancing at a notification that destroyed my marriage, taught me everything about the difference between the life you think you have and the reality hidden underneath. Rachel thought she could manage a double life, thought I was too trusting, too focused on work, too oblivious to notice. Thought she could use Tyler's preschool hours for an affair while I stayed at the office or worked from home. None the wiser. She didn't account for modern technology, doorbell cameras that timestamp every motion, save every video, provide undeniable evidence of things meant to stay hidden. And she didn't account for my ability to stay calm under pressure, to strategize instead of react, to build a case that would protect Tyler and me from the chaos she'd created. The final irony? That expensive video doorbell I'd installed to catch package thieves ended up catching something far more valuable. The truth about who my wife really was when she thought no one was watching.